Welcome to The Hypnotist, the show that gives you inside access to cutting-edge hypnosis with real clients facing genuine issues. Brought to you by the hypnotherapist demanded by celebrities, CEOs, and even royalty, Adam Cox. These recordings took place live from Adam's clinic in London's world-famous Harley Street. This podcast features powerful hypnosis, so do not listen while driving or operating machinery. This recording is not suitable for those with epilepsy or severe mental health issues. So, get yourself comfortable and enjoy today's episode of The Hypnotist.
Hi, it's Adam here, and in this hypnosis session, you're going to be listening to an addiction-themed hypnosis session. And I was working with a client that had a particular addiction to a substance. I'm not going to name the substance because it would potentially prime you in a way that isn't helpful for the session. All you need to know is that every now and then they would feel a compulsion to use this particular substance. And when they did, it really kind of drained them of energy, drained them of feelings of kind of focus and the kind of energy that was productive for them. So it did come at a cost. And they wanted to make that change. So what you're going to hear is a hypnosis session that reminds them that they are capable of change, that they've made changes before. And then it has this form of timeline therapy where they get to see a future where nothing changes. And that's a future if they continue to use and make certain choices, what impact that has on their finances and their business and even their health and future relationships. But then also an alternative future where they meet the underlying need in a different way. And by doing so, feel more empowered. They still get the same joy, but a different type of pleasure. And that pleasure comes from internal pleasure. And there's a great phrase, which is natural highs. And the body is capable of creating things that act like drugs. And we call them hormones or neurotransmitters. But things like adrenaline, things like serotonin and oxytocin and dopamine, all of these things are internal drugs. And they absolutely do change how you feel. If you've ever had a sense of anxiety and your heart starts racing, that's a different biochemical reaction in your body. It's a state change. So anxiety isn't, the ideal example of a positive emotion, but let's say you're feeling, if you've been in love, that feeling of dopamine and serotonin and oxytocin all fused together feels wonderful. So those natural highs are a better way than synthetic highs that come from substances that tend to have a consequence. And that's a biological consequence in the body. So I think anyone that feels a compulsion or a real urge to take something that feels pleasurable in the moment but has undesirable consequences will get some value of this particular session. And if you are interested in the idea of working with me from a hypnotherapeutic perspective, there's a couple of things that's worth looking at. One, there is a link in the show notes where you can actually take a suitability test, and it's about 60 seconds long. You tick a few buttons and you fill out answer a few questions, and you'll figure out pretty quick if hypnotherapy would be right for you. So if you've been curious about that, check out that link. And there is also a free course that I've put together. 21 of my favorite hypnosis sessions from my podcast have been collated together as part of a course. And again, you can sign up for that completely free. So check those out, and to get the most out of this session, find a quiet, comfortable place where you won't be disturbed, relax, and enjoy the session. Take a deep breath in and as you breathe in that slow, long, relaxing breath. And as you exhale, allow yourself to release any feelings of tension, any stress, any worries. That's it. Just allow those feelings to leave your body in your outward breath. And as you breathe in and breathe out, position your body in a way where you can really feel comfortable. That place where it's effortless to go deeper and deeper relaxed. I want you to get a sense that for the next few minutes, there is nothing that you need to do. Just allow yourself to experience thoughts and ideas that enable you to create new associations, new beliefs and new connections, so that things that you've wanted to do, you simply don't want to do them anymore. Not because you can't, because you don't want to. And I want you to think of the power of just adding one association. As you breathe in and breathe out, I want you to imagine a delicious meal, your favorite meal, and imagine this meal in an elegant restaurant, on a pristine plate, on a table with a white tablecloth and silver cutlery. Imagine that delicious meal on that plate, on that table. And I want you to imagine seeing 3 or 4 random strangers walk up to that plate, that meal, and just spit all over the food. People you don't know, putting their saliva, their bacteria, their germs, all over what previously was a delicious, desirable, some would say, a compelling meal. But as you imagine those strangers spitting their saliva, their phlegm, all over this meal, notice how easily something can shift from desirable to undesirable rapidly. And I want you to think, as you go deeper and deeper relaxed, that there is something else in your life that has been desirable. And maybe it was desirable because it made you feel alert, made you feel good. Maybe it even made you feel aroused or excited or full of energy. I want you to get a sense that something can be true and yet still not worthwhile. Allow your imagination to take you to a place in nature, maybe a beach, maybe by a lake, somewhere in nature near to water. And as you stare at the water, the waves, the breeze, the sound. Just allow your imagination to take you deeper and deeper relaxed. And sometimes when people stare into the water, they drift off into a daydream state. And in that daydream state, sometimes people think about the future. Sometimes it's a future they want. And we can call that optimism, aspirations, excitement. And sometimes people think about the future they don't want. And that might lead to feelings like anxiety or paranoia. But the future is yours to make it. Some people are simply going with the flow and end up wherever life takes them. But there is a small percentage of people, under 10%, that make their life as they want it. These are the entrepreneurs, the goal setters. They have an idea of the life they want and they make it happen. And I want you to think all the way back before you had a business. Didn't it start just as an idea? But then you aligned that idea with action, decisions. And even though sometimes it wasn't easy, you did what was necessary to keep that business growing. Therefore, you are one of those people that makes life alter to your imagination. You change it. You steer life in the direction to give you more of those things that you desire. And if that can work in your business life, it can also work in a different area. I want you to get a sense that there is always a choice. People don't consider that things staying the same is a choice. It feels like a choice or a decision is only when you make a change. But that isn't true. Because if you can make a change and don't, then you are choosing to stay the same. So there, in that nature, breathe in and breathe out, but breathe in a feeling of resourcefulness and all the resources you would want most. Clarity, energy, belief, and motivation. Breathe in all of those resources and then exhale anything that is holding you back. Sometimes we do what's easy and not what's required. So just feel like you're letting go of anything that is impeding the quality of your life. This might be a habit, a compulsion, or just a desire. So as you breathe in and breathe out, there in nature, I want you to imagine 2 futuristic portals. Maybe they are glowing spiral-like circles, or maybe they seem to be a gateway to another dimension. But just imagine these portals there in nature. These are portals through space and time to give you an experience of two possible futures. And the first portal allows you to experience life if it stays the same. Same choices, same habits, but consider it a trajectory, a way of moving through your future in the similar direction that you're already heading. And that might still lead to good places, but maybe there is a risk that you undo lots of those wonderful things that you've built so far. But I want you to imagine seeing yourself like you're someone else. As you walk through the portal, become an observer. See you like you're someone else. Like a watcher. And I want you to see your life on the trajectory it's been heading. I want you to see that maybe once or twice a month, there's this desire to go out. See yourself drinking the alcoholic drinks that you drink. And then see that urge. Maybe the clue is your facial expression or your behavior, sending a message to someone. And I want you to see that version of you consuming a substance and then being under the influence of that substance. You're just the observer, but you get to see yourself with new eyes now. What might feel amazing for you doesn't seem so amazing when you're the observer. And I want you to choose to give different associations, evaluations, meanings to what you observe. You might use words like risky, reckless. You might even use judgmental words. Words like embarrassing, pathetic. Whatever the right words are for you, you get to use them. But I want you to see what happens over a longer period of time. What happens the day after you've consumed? See the tiredness, perhaps anxiety. See the opportunity cost of that momentum you've been building suddenly grinding to a halt. I want you to observe potential risky behavior, perhaps even illegal behavior, or dangerous in some way. And perhaps being the observer, it reaches a point where a thought starts to take root. And maybe that thought is, this isn't worth it. It's not worth it. Because just because you can do something doesn't mean you should. And I want you to get a sense that what if each time you consume. You are buying a ticket that increases the probability that your life gets much worse. I want you to think of, in a world of 8 billion people, how many people of a similar age to you had a heart attack on that night that they consumed the same thing you're consuming? How many had sex with a stranger and then weeks or months later found that they had an incurable sexually transmitted disease? How many people, while they were under the influence, did something that meant that they lost their business? They ended up in jail. And of course, it doesn't mean it will happen just because it could happen. But each time you're buying that lottery ticket, you increase the odds of that undesirable thing happening. So allow your imagination not to show you a prophecy or a prediction, just possibilities. What horrible things could happen if you stay on this path? I want your imagination to show you things that give you a sense that the risk is not worth it anymore. Start to imagine things that you've spent years building is lost. Hopes that you have for the future disappear instantly. And you don't have to force yourself to not want to do something. Just feel like these thoughts are like strangers spitting on a delicious meal. You could, of course, still eat the meal, but maybe you don't want it anymore. And imagine seeing yourself maybe 20 years in the future on this pathway. Was 20 years of needing this thing to feel a sense of release or enjoyment done to your body, done to your life. Sometimes when someone does certain things, it takes future vitality and energy and brings it forward. But sometimes that comes at a cost of aging. Sometimes people that are addicted to certain things, at the age of 40, they look like they're 60. At the age of 50, they look like they're 80. So just allow your imagination to show you a version of you on this pathway where something has taken its toll, and then allow yourself to go back through the portal, walking backwards. Whatever you're not changing, you are choosing. You can choose to do what you've always been doing, each time taking on more risk, or you could venture through the new portal. And this portal isn't a portal of willpower and discipline. It's a portal where, because of new associations, you simply don't want that thing anymore. And as you walk through this portal, again become the observer. And I want you to see that certain shifts and changes have taken place. Certain things have lost their appeal. And maybe it wasn't about stopping. Maybe it was about swapping. Instead of going to bars and clubs, maybe you see a version of you doing something else that gives you that sense of release, that sense of connection, that sense of fun and enjoyment. Maybe instead of certain types of interactions, there's more meaningful or long-term interactions. Maybe this version of you is drinking less alcohol because you don't feel like you want it or need it. And what if by drinking less alcohol, you end up doing something else less often or not at all? But as the observer, see that expression on your face. Now, not doing the thing gives you that feeling of joy, a feeling of pride, a feeling of being in control. And perhaps the most empowering thing would be that even if the people around you are consuming something, there is no desire for you to do the same. Consider this the empowered you, the intentional you, the version of you that is in control of your life. Not through discipline, but through desire. You simply desire a better life. And you've come to the conclusion that your life and your future is better when certain things aren't there. Sometimes a life gets better when there's one toxic person that you decide you don't need them in your life anymore. And I want you to think of this substance as a toxic friend, a false friend, someone that took more than they gave, someone that betrayed you again and again. Sooner or later, you would decide that they are not a friend, and you would continue your life without them in it. So imagine this future, a future where that false friend, that substance is no longer there. And see this future getting better and better. See yourself with more energy, more vitality. See your business going to the next level. Financial success, increased status. See yourself brimming with confidence and pride. See new friendships, new relationships built on something different. See the quality of your life increasing. But also imagine you found an alternative way to release all of the pressure that can build up when you've got lots of responsibilities. Maybe that's something that gives you an adrenaline boost. Or maybe it's something calm and in nature that gives you that serotonin and oxytocin. In the past, you were seeking the drugs externally to consume them. In this future, you want your body to create them for you. The dopamine, the endorphins. I want you to see a version of you that seeks natural highs. The biochemical reactions that come internally, not externally. And maybe this future is more desirable, gives you more energy, more confidence, more vitality, more of everything that you want. See yourself 20 years in the future following this timeline. Natural highs, your body creating your joy and gratification and experiences. And then allow your unconscious mind to decide which future is more appealing. A future of synthetic substitutes or real experiences. So as you walk backwards through the second portal, you realize key choices and decisions. Are you voting for what future you want? Anytime you do the habits and behaviors of the past, you're voting for that future of risk, of less energy, of aging more rapidly, or you're voting for a future of natural highs, pride, accomplishments, a sense of ever-increasing vitality and well-being. But you vote for the future through your actions, your behaviors, and allow your unconscious to guide you towards the future you truly desire. But it's time to leave this place, leave the portals, leave the place in nature, and return to the present with a new sense of clarity as to what it is that you really want. So take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your nose. Just wiggle your fingers and wiggle your toes, connect and calibrate into the here and the now. As I now count from 1 to 10 to awaken you. Starting to count. 1, 2, 3, waking up. 4, 5, 6, more alert. 7, 8, open your eyes, 9, 10, wide awake, wide awake, wide awake.
Thank you for listening to The Hypnotist with Adam Cox, the show that gives you inside access to cutting-edge hypnosis with real clients facing genuine issues. To automatically receive the latest episodes, please subscribe. If you'd like to support the show, please share this episode with just one friend you think it could help. And if this episode helped you, please leave us a 5-star review.